After 1 month in global launch, they have recently released the newest build 1.90. There's been a lot of talk about a variety of quality of life improvements as well as some mechanics that have changed, but the biggest one everybody is talking about is the bomb mechanic. Is it in a good place or is it too strong? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Hey guys, it's Childish, and we're back at it again with the next video for Might and Magic Elemental Guardians. Again, if you guys haven't checked out the Discord community, we've been talking quite a bit about this recent patch. If you haven't seen the notes already, I will go ahead and leave a link in the description down below. If not, I will post something on the video so that you guys can get an idea of what is going on. Now, again, this is something that we did talk about a few days ago with Vulcan, so a lot of the things are going to be similar, but there is a couple of things that we did not talk about, and one of those was the bomb mechanics. So what we're going to do today is talk about how that actually works, and then just kind of get your guys' opinions and feedback in the comment section down below on where you feel about it, as well as my final thoughts I'll drop at the end of the video. So bombers, how does it work? How do we incorporate it? There's specific units in the game that have the opportunity to drop a bomb, and the bomb has can have anywhere from a 3 to 4, 4 to 5 turn timer at the start, and when that timer expires, the bomb will detonate, ignoring defense, ignoring the elemental aspect, and be able to stun these units. One of the newest features in the game is now, if you were to bring like a bomber per se versus this team right here in the Wrath 9, we can actually use the bomb, detonate it, or basically when the bomb expires, it'll detonate and it will be able to stun that boss. Now, of course, if they have like immunity, that's not going to work, but if there is no immunity, that is the potential. There is the potential of being able to stun the boss. So that is the first that I can think of the actual hard CCs being able to stun these bosses here. So obviously a lot of people are like, well, what's going on? Is this too strong? I mean, being able to stun lock a boss it seems like it could be a little OP. Like, what's going on? What's your take on it, Childish? So my opinion is, obviously it's gonna be my opinion, but I will say that I have talked with a couple of people in the community, and they're quite in line with some of the things that we pointed out, or we're going to point out in this. So just kind of keep that in mind as we address certain things. And then again, like I said before, I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on what you currently think about the state of the game when it comes to the bomb mechanics. So bombers and availability, that's going to be the first thing that I want to mention. When we think about bombers and being able to use them, you know, there's a lot of mechanics in the game where we have a lot of different creatures that can take advantage of these particular mechanics. Well, in the game right now, there is currently 5 specific bombers that you can use, 4 of which are AoE and 4 of which are single target. Okay, so when it comes to the strategy that people are talking about, bringing in, you know, 2 types of bombers and being able to stack their bombs in order to activate the next bomb. Again, if I did not mention that already, basically, if you bring the bomb and it expires, it stuns. It has a, you know, right, some of these bombs have a high cooldown timer. However, if you use another bomber to stack it on top of the other bomb, the first bomb will detonate and forcing a stun, and then the other bomb will just stay on there. So again, even though you have a very, very high cooldown timer, you can use the combination of a double bomber in order to speed up the process in which these explodes and provide you that stun that you're looking for. So getting back to what we're talking about, only 5 specific units that you could use, 4 of which are AoE. So the availability of these units is not super high, but one of the cool things to mention is that one of these units, one of the AoE bombers, is a water witch. So this is going to give everybody a fair chance of incorporating a bomber if they want to use it in their team. Generally speaking, when we talk about like pretty strong mechanics into the game, this is something that you see in the natural 3-star and the natural 4-star category, but Ubisoft has done an excellent job providing specific types of mechanics for a variety of units that can, you know, so everybody can use it. So it all depends on the, you know, synergy of your team and making it work for you. But again, it is cool. It is definitely neat that you can, if you guys want to try it out and want to build it, you can definitely do so. So it's not like limited just the top tier players that have been, you know, fortunate enough to get those units. Okay, so getting back to the bombers, right? Even though this mechanic seems strong, we got to remember the fact of how these, you know, get planted on. You definitely need a fair amount of accuracy to make sure that they're consistent, that they're reliable. And before we even get into the accuracy resistance check, we have to consider the factor of activation rate. All the units, the bombers have a specific activation rate, so the percentage that it actually may land, and then after it may land, it has to go through an accuracy resistance check in order for it to, you know, potentially just, you know, be there, right? So when we think about that aspect, it's not a guaranteed land, you know, because even if we have a unit like the Water Witch that does have a 100% activation rate, there's still the accuracy resistance check that has to be considered. So obviously the way you build your specific unit is going to be very, very important in order for you to have consistent bombs. It is a really, really nice mechanic, but it's also something that is not, you know, 100% reliable. And just like everything else that we consider when it comes to our debuffers or our AoE poisoners, that factor of accuracy needs to be there in order for us to be able to use this mechanic at a consistent level. Okay. The next thing to consider is the speeding up of the process of the bombers, right? We can throw out the bombs and then we have to wait 5 turns. So considering the factor that this is like a 4 to 5 turn cooldown, I think that's a nice area for it to be. Again, the hard CC versus a boss is very strong, but you basically have to have another unit, another bomber, in order to place a bomb, in order to activate the first bomb and stun it, right? So that's essentially taking 2 of your spots, whether it's an AoE bomber with a single target, you know, bomb to use, or duplicate, you know, AoE bombers. You know, that is 2 spots out of your 4 or 5 units in your composition that you're going to go ahead and have to consider put it in there. And if you are going that route, keep in mind that a lot of these bombers have little to no utility. So when we think about some of the biggest things that we're trying to incorporate in our team, again, disclaimer, this is something you might have heard already, right? The AoE heals, the damage mitigation, the debuffing, the AoE poisoner. Some of those mechanics or some of those things that we consider, I mean, the first 3 minus the AoE poisoner, if you want to incorporate bombs, like some of those mechanics are something that we're going to have in our team no matter what. And so when we think about some of the things that we would like to do versus what we can actually do, we may not have that versatility between the main 3 units that we're talking about here, the main 3 types of things that we're talking about our team, in order to make this a successful, consistent team. Now, let's not get it twisted. The understanding of meditation glyphs and certain units that provide cooldown effects can definitely accelerate and give you more opportunities to land these spots. But those are very, very specific things that you will obviously have to have. You know, you're going to have a high amount of you know, meditation glyphs, or if you're going to play around with those units, or you're going to have certain units that have those cooldown reducing abilities in order for it to seem like it's super strong. But again, it is something that is very, very, it's not something that you see. Not a lot of units have those cooldown resets, so it's not going to come all too often. And then when it comes to meditation, if you were going to place it on a bomber per se, that is taking away some good opportunity to give yourself a precision set so that you can have the reliability of your bombs to take into place. So one thing that I want you guys to think of as well is you know, this whole CC, hard CC. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, it's a pretty unique factor, but I do want to point out there that one of the things, and I know that this is going to come from people that have followed me on my channel for the past 4 years, considering the fact that I play other games that are turn-based RPGs and have similar mechanics, you know, the one thing that people have been arguing about is like, wow, this is not how this game does it, or this is like too new, like, this is not like anything else. Well, that's the thing. I mean, this aspect of the game is something new. It's something different. It's intriguing. So this may give you another opportunity to be able to tackle one of your toughest levels, whether it be in a dungeon or in a TOT. So now you have something else to work with if you haven't been fortunate enough to get specific units, okay? Another thing to mention is not only the cooldown timers of those skills, but also the actual timer it takes for the bomb to explode. You know, sometimes, or if you look at some of these skills, I think the Water Witch is actually, the bomb actually explodes on a 4-turn timer versus the Fire Giant that has the 5-turn timer. But I believe certain bombers have different improvements on their skill ups in order to reduce those timers so that it can come by a little bit quicker for you. So again, a lot of things to consider that we talked about as far as if this is going to be strong. My personal thoughts on it, it is a different mechanic, or it is obviously a newer mechanic out there that now we have the option to play around with it. But as strong as it may seem, I feel like there's a lot of different things that need to be coming into play on the back end in order for this to be like super OP. I like the fact that we do have another way of, you know, providing a little bit of crowd control, especially for TOT. But we'll have to wait and see what people play around with. Again, me personally, as much as I like the bombs, I actually prefer using the Air Basilisk versus anything, because I feel like the Earth Basilisk, if anything, is pretty strong as well, right? But again, just like like the bombers, when we think about it, right? The bombers, you need the accuracy. You need to bring a double, you need to bring another bomber to improve the chain mechanic of those stuns. Same thing kind of goes for the air basilisk. The air basilisk, you need to have it relatively fast. You need to have a high amount of critical rate. It is a 2-star creature, so it's going to be relatively squishy. And because of the fact that you have to build it with a high amount of critical rate, you are sacrificing a lot of effective HP in order to keep it alive. So it has this unique mechanic that could potentially lock down the boss, similar to the bombs. But if the bombs fail, or if the attack bar manipulation fails on the specific unit, right, then you're going to be at a disadvantage, and you could possibly lose that unit, for that match, and then of course have to restart the level. So one thing I forgot to mention is the whole aspect of PvP. Now everyone's going to have the opportunity to build a double bombing team to take advantage of this mechanic. If you're trying to get the stun in, maybe lead off with an attack bar booster, get another unit that will provide like an attack buff in order to improve the damage of your bomb, since it's based on your attack. And then you have that double bombing mechanic that will land the bombs, bomb it, ignore defense, and then have your other bombs follow through. And so this is a unique factor, because even though you may be able to set up something to have a 2-turn, or have, stuns go off 2-turn and ignore defense, if you don't have enough damage, right, to get it done between those 2 sets of bombs, then you're going to have to figure out a way of increasing that damage while not sacrificing the amount of accuracy that you need. And again, one of the things that we didn't even talk about is if you're, if you're trying to get the first turn, you're running an attack bar booster. Of course, your bombers, basically everybody in your party, is going to have a decent amount of speed so that you can follow through and not get cut in between on another unit that might be providing some kind of attack bar manipulation on the team. So I am really excited to see what everybody does on this topic here. Again, guys, I would love to hear your feedback on this. Please put it in the comment section down below. Again, I just want to get like a nice healthy debate started, and I'm not here to see people jab back and forth. We don't need to be calling anybody names. Like, this is just about talking about the state of the game, where it currently is with the bomb mechanics, and what you guys feel about it. That's going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish, or Childish Plays, checking out. Take care, and we will see you all in the next video. I'm out.